Broker fraud is on the rise. Conservative estimates predict double brokering affects between $500 to $700 million in freight every year. Don't be a statistic. Protect yourself so you won't be the next victim of broker fraud. It's absolutely critical that you read the broker-carrier agreement before you ever sign it and take a load from a broker. There's little recourse after fraud occurs, so protect yourself by understanding what should and shouldn't be in the agreement. So, what goes into a good broker-carrier agreement that will protect you? Just ask who, what, when, and how questions. Who exactly are the parties? The contract should include everyone's current and correct names and identification numbers. The principal office location should also be correct and current. Who is responsible if something goes wrong? If there is an indemnification clause, meaning that one party is agreeing to hold the other one harmless if something happens, check to see if it goes both ways and isn't one-sided. Who is identified in the corresponding paperwork? The carrier should be named on the bill of lading as the carrier of record, while the broker pays for the freight. What proves the broker is authentic? It's called a broker's affirmation. This proves the broker has authority and is registered with DOT. The affirmation must show that the broker has financial security or surety, either called a bond, a letter of credit, or trust fund security. What constitutes a breach? What rules or laws apply? Broker agreements can dictate which state's laws apply, so be aware you may be agreeing to allow one state to govern. Federal laws will be in play if you're crossing state lines, but broker agreements may add sections where the carrier gives up or waives protections from the regulations. For example, all parties to a brokered transaction are allowed to see all paperwork to a brokered transaction. But if that option is waived or given up in the contract, it will be harder to demand the documents, which can be important as it may exclude payment for other fees and services. If you see a regulation called out in the contract, be sure you know what that regulation requires and that you are not waiving it or agreeing to not follow it. If you need a copy of a broker-carrier agreement or you're uncertain about the contract, you can call Business Services at OOIDA 816-229-5791. When is the broker-carrier agreement performed or terminated, and when will you be paid? How is your relationship defined? The agreement should allow the carrier to act as an independent contractor, not as the agent of the broker. How will the carrier move the freight? How are cargo claims handled? The contract should clearly set out the claims processes, which must follow the regulations. How are disputes resolved, and how are fees charged or calculated? How much compensation will you earn? The broker-carrier agreement should set out the carrier's earnings and clearly include these 5 things. The rate, how the rate is determined, the payment schedule, pass-through charges, and any other charges. How much insurance must the carrier maintain for public liability and cargo? You are responsible for knowing all that is in the carrier-broker agreement. Read it and know what it means before you sign it to avoid being a victim of broker fraud. For more information on broker fraud, please check out our other online videos or call OOIDA at 1-800-444-5791 and ask for the Business Services Department.